trying to push Mr. Powell out before his term is up.
Well, it's that time of night for our politics panel. We're going to be talking about Jerome Powell and many other of today's political developments. I'm joined here in studio by Yemisi Egbewole. She's former Chief of Staff to the White House Press Office in the Biden administration and a Democratic strategist, and Jennifer Carroll, former Republican Lieutenant Governor of Florida. Thanks to you both for being with me tonight. Jennifer, I just want to start with you. Those comments from the President on Jerome Powell, we've heard them really so often now. Why is he focusing so much on this individual who he appointed himself originally? What is his issue there? Or is it a way of distracting from the economic growth that just hasn't been there?
I think what President Trump is looking at is something that's going to be complementary to move the economy forward and to complement the extra money that's coming in for trade, the policies that are being enacted, plus the bill that was just passed through the Congress for revamping a number of tax reforms. And it seems as if Jerome Powell has just dug his feet into the ground. No matter what President Trump asked for, he's not going to give, because he knows he's probably not going to be able to fire him. And what President Trump would like to do is to have somebody that will work with him to turn the economy around and be in line with the policies as he's moving forward.
Isn't the point, though, to have independence there?
It is important, but in looking at the great landscape of things, particularly with the housing market and people's ability to get their own home and home affordability in the United States, the reduction of interest rate will truly help. When I bought my first home back in 1982, it was 13%, and I got a good rate at 11% that was going to blossom and grow exponentially. Now we're at 6 and 7 and 8% and 9% in some places. And just under President Trump's first term, it was 3 and 4%. So it will truly help the economy grow and help people get into affordable housing.
Yemisi, what's your view? As I say, Donald Trump originally appointed Jerome Powell, but Joe Biden did reappoint him.
Yes, and what I wish the reporters in the Oval Office would have asked him or would have done is corrected him on that statement that he made. What was it that first drew him to make Jerome Powell the chair? Well, it's because he's well respected and has been in this field for decades and decades. Look, the Federal Reserve has always operated independently. It's an anchor for global stability. It's not supposed to be at any kind of political whims, because that doesn't just affect Americans, but it affects the entire global economy. So I think the president has to just come to terms with the fact that he has an independent guardrail here. I know he's been able to push and sway Congress as he wants to, but the entire reason for the Federal Reserve being independent is for instances just like this.
Now, he has said, the latest statement anyway, is that he's not going to fire him. If you were to do that and replace him with someone more, let's say, friendly to his viewpoint, would that then set a precedent that Democrats could lean into, should they be back in the Oval Office?
Well, I hope Democrats wouldn't lean into it, and I'm confident that they wouldn't. But I will say, a move like this right before midterms next year is pretty politically risky. So I think smart for him to just back off of it. Plenty of things happening right now domestically that we need to focus on internationally as well. I think this is a fight that he doesn't need to politically take on.
Now, there were a lot of questions about that in the Oval Office today. There were also a lot of questions about Jeffrey Epstein, the financier who died by suicide while in jail awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. And it's something, Jennifer, that really has motivated and mobilised the MAGA base, isn't it? This decision by the Department of Justice, by the Attorney General, your fellow Floridian Pam Bondi, not to release more of these files. Why is that really annoying so many of Donald Trump's supporters?
I believe that people expected that when President Trump came into office, we were going to have a transparency in government with all the files and accusations and court trials that the president went through to find out that many of the information was false or fabricated. The public just wants to see transparency in their government. I am glad that the president is open to a private, an outside individual to inspect the information and be nonpartisan and impartial to the information that's received and put it out to the public.
How big of a problem is it for President Trump that there is all this unhappiness with how he and his team have handled it?
Well, it's a big problem, particularly if it goes into the midterm. If information is able to be turned over to an independent counsel to look over the information and present it just like the Durham report, I think that will squelch the base out there. But if nothing is looked at and presented to the people as this is the information, whether it was tainted with, it was toyed with, and not all of the pieces are there, but here are some of the pieces. It's like they turned out the JFK files that didn't really materialize too much. I think that will at least give the base some information that they can say that government is being transparent with them.
Yeah, see, the president and his supporters started off saying that this was a massive cover-up by the Democrats. Now they're saying this is all a big hoax created by the Democrats. Was there a discussion about these files when you were in the White House?
No, honestly, there wasn't much of a focus on it. And so I think it was interesting when it came back into the zeitgeist within 2 months of him being president at the top of this year. We, of course, saw him march out some supporters in front of the White House, and they held binders and they said, we finally have information and we're going to look into this. Look, promises made. Will promises be kept? This isn't something that was politically charged. It wasn't something Democrats were pushing on, but they set an expectation with the Attorney General that there would be files released, and now people are just waiting to see what's going to come of it.
There's kind of an unlikely bedfellow situation now, isn't there, where the Democrats and the MAGA supporters are kind of united on the quest for transparency here.
Yes, I've seen a lot of people kind of re-up some old tweets. We, of course, know that Donald Trump Jr., at least in 2023, was very invested in these files coming out, and he believed that the files didn't come out because of Democrats. Well, now Democrats are sitting here saying, we're not in power in the House, in the Senate, or the White House. We're not going to obstruct anything. Let's see the files.
And Jennifer, when you have someone like the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, also not taking the same line as the President when they have been so united over many things, including the one big beautiful bill or act as it is now, is that a problem for the legislative agenda of the President?
I believe so, because it also shows that Republicans can agree to disagree. And Republicans can have conversations and not stifle any one person or group from how they feel or think. And I believe that if Mike Johnson has information that he feels ought to be presented to the public by Christ, presented to the public. But it also shows the independence of thought that Speaker Johnson could have his independent thinking, and so can the president, and so can Pam Bondi.
And Yemisi, do you think, just briefly, are the victims forgotten in all of this discussion about files and folders and boxes and videos?
I have to honestly say on both sides, I think Democrats and Republicans have forgotten why this story came to be in the first place and the tragedy that happened in the lives of a lot of these young girls that were exploited. But I think when you turn something into a reality TV show, the true message and morality of it is bound to get lost in the midst of it.
Okay. We're out of time. We could talk many longer about this, but that's it for today. We'll have you both back again in the future. Yemisi Egbewole and Jennifer Carroll, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, lots more still to come. Do stay with us. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.